Welcome back to One on One. We've left Studio B and are now in Rhodes Stadium with our college football analysts George Adams and Alex Rosenbaum. We're going to field some questions from the fans with our reporter Melissa Connor out in the field. Melissa, what's our first question?
Thanks, Joe. I'm out here on campus with Tracy, and he has a question for y'all.
Who's the most exciting player in college football?
All right, guys, so there's the question. Most exciting player in college football. George?
It's got to be Sammy Watkins.
Of course
out of
it's
Clemson.
Sammy Watkins.
I mean, come on, he's an All-American wide receiver, but not only does he catch the ball, he runs the ball, he returns kicks, and he threw for a touchdown in the Florida State game. What more could you ask for?
I don't know. My answer before the season would have been the Honey Badger on LSU. Of course, he's not there.
Yeah.
Just a wild card on the defense. But just to mix it up, I'm going with Geno Smith of West Virginia. Going back to the Orange Bowl last year, in the 4 games since Robert Griffin III has been named the Heisman, he has 1,400 yards and 18 touchdowns. He is unbelievable.
You guys, both insane athletes. I would have gone with the entire Oregon roster because I can't pick which of them would be faster than the other, besides the Anthony Thomas. Now, Melissa, what's our second question from the fans?
Thanks, Joe. I'm here with Jeremy, and he has another question for you guys.
Outside the SEC, who do you think's the best conference top to bottom?
All right, guys, now obviously besides the SEC in this one, which conference has the most depth?
I'm going to go with the Big 12 and all 10 of their teams. Yes, I know, it's crazy. They have 6 teams ranked in the top 25, and the bottom of their conference is really strong. All 9 of the 10 teams received votes. The only one who didn't was Kansas in this week's poll, and obviously they're not very good. So instead of looking at the top of the conference, the bottom of that conference is stellar.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, but like you said, the top of the conference has maybe a few question marks.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to go with the Pac-12, because the top of that conference does carry the somewhat weak part of the bottom of the conference, basically. And USC, Stanford, and Oregon. Oregon's number 2 in the country.
Teams.
Yes,
elite
very
teams.
much so. So I think those teams carry their weaker part of the bottom of the conference. So I think Pac-12 is best conference.
Yeah, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for actual depth, it's the Big 12. If you're looking for the top 4 teams in the top 25, it's the Pac-12. Now, Melissa, what's our third question?
Thanks, Joe. I'm on campus with Chance, and he has another question for our analysts.
Which team outside the top 10 do you see competing for the national championship?
All right, guys, so there you go. Question 3, outside of the top 10, which team do you see contending in the national title picture?
I really like Texas.
Oh, a Big 12 team.
Yes. Texas has a terrific defense this year. They have a great running game. This is not a typical Big 12 offense at all. And David Ash, yes, he has struggled at times, but so far this season, he's looked pretty good. If he continues to keep that up, I think Texas has a very good shot at making the national title.
They do,
game.
and they end with a good game at versus Kansas State at home. That could be the little push over the top to get them into the top 1 or 2 teams. I like USC, even though they've already lost to Stanford this year. They still play Oregon, which is an elite team, and then they could play them again in the Pac-12 championship game. Obviously, the talent on the team, Matt Barkley, phenomenal. So I really think that they have a shot to get back into this and play for the national title.
They lost early. That's always good.
They have time to work it back. They also play Notre Dame at the end of the year. If Notre Dame could keep it up and be another team they could prove themselves against. Texas got a tough schedule coming up. They've got a couple of weeks that it's going to be a little rough, but if they can make it through,
exactly.
You never know. Now, Melissa, what is our final question from the fans?
Okay, guys, I'm here on campus with Ashley, and she has another question for our analysts.
Which team helped themselves out the most this weekend?
Guys, what do you think?
All right, guys, obviously a lot of marquee matchups this weekend between some highly ranked teams, but which team helped themselves out the most?
I'm going with Notre Dame. A lot of experts are very doubtful about their actual abilities, but their defense may be the best in the country. They shut down a very explosive Michigan offense. Denard Robinson looked like he didn't know how to play football last night. So I really like Notre Dame going forward. They have a really, really tough schedule, but this was a great springboard for them to enter the rest of their season.
My problem with Notre Dame, like you said, is their schedule. They still have Oklahoma, USC, and Stanford to play left. So I'm going to go with a team that has played their toughest game of the season already, in Florida State.
Yes.
They beat Clemson Saturday, beat them handily. That defense looked very good in shutting down the Clemson defense that second half. So now they have a somewhat easy schedule the rest of the way. They'll have to play Virginia Tech twice.
Probably twice, yeah.
Probably twice. And then they get Florida at home. The rest of their games, they'll probably be favored by at least 10 in every other game. So I think Florida State has a clear path to the BCS National Championship game. That's what I'm going with.
Florida State might finally even live up to the hype. Last year, not so much, but this year they're looking pretty strong. And Notre Dame, their fans should be happy so far, but they've got to figure out that quarterback situation for me to be really convinced about that. We're going to take a break, but when one-on-one returns, Kurt sits down with our MLB experts to decide who really deserves the AL MVP. Stay tuned.